This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Look how I'm living now. Police be tripping now. Yeah, this is America. Guns in my area. I got the strap. I gotta carry 'em. Yeah, I'ma go into this. Yeah, this is gorilla. Yeah, I'ma go get the bag. Yeah, or I'ma get the pad. Yeah, I'm so cold like, yeah. I'm so dull like, yeah. We gon' blow like, yeah. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Look how I'm living now. Police be tripping now. Yeah, this is America. Guns in my area. I got the strap. I gotta carry 'em. Yeah, I'ma go into this. Yeah, this is gorilla. Yeah, I'ma go get the bag. Yeah, or I'ma get the pad.
With a full moon shining brightly overhead, you're looking live at Launch Pad 0A at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport on Wallops Island, Virginia, where Northrop Grumman's Antares rocket stands fully fueled, 133 feet tall, ready to launch 31 minutes from now to send the unpiloted Cygnus cargo craft into orbit on a 3-day journey to deliver some 4 tons of supplies and scientific experiments to the International Space Station. Following a last-minute scrub of last night's initial launch attempt, tonight's liftoff is set for 8:16 and 14 seconds p.m. Central Time, 9:16 and 14 seconds p.m. Eastern Time at the start of a 5-minute launch window. The weather for tonight's launch just couldn't be better. It is absolutely pristine at Wallops Island, just a few clouds at 4,500 feet, winds out of the northwest at 4 knots, temperature of about 58 degrees Fahrenheit. Everything is green across the board. And there is the target for the Artemis program coming up for NASA, the moon, with sights set on that destination to land the first woman and the next man on the surface of the moon in 2024. Good evening from Mission Control in Houston and the International Space Station Flight Control Room here at the Johnson Space Center. Flight controllers here are watching over the station as they do 24/7, 365, tending to its systems and the 3 crew members comprising the Expedition 63 crew. We'll talk more about them in a moment. Back at the Wallops Flight Facility, Northrop Grumman engineers are monitoring the countdown at this hour from the Range Control Center. They will be in control of the 9-minute climb to orbit for the 2-stage Antares rocket from liftoff to the point when the Cygnus resupply craft separates from the vehicle's second stage. They just completed a poll of all of the engineering positions just a moment or two ago. Everyone is go for launch. In Dulles, Virginia, another team of Northrop Grumman engineers are on duty as well, ready to take over the flight of Cygnus after spacecraft separation under the direction of Mission Director Zach Dwyer. They'll be following all of Cygnus's maneuvers during its 3-day trek to the International Space Station. Back here in Mission Control in Houston, the Orbit 3 team of flight controllers is on duty with the station crew members well into their sleep period for the night. As was the case last night, Flight Director T.J. Creamer is back in charge, presiding over the Orbit 3 team this evening. Cygnus's launch was originally scheduled for this past Tuesday night, but a forecast of inclement weather at Wallops for both Tuesday and Wednesday night pushed the initial launch attempt to last night. And with the weather finally cooperating last night, the countdown reached the 2-minute 40-second mark before the launch was scrubbed. We'll talk more about that in a moment. At the present time, we're sitting at T-minus 28 minutes and counting. There are no issues being worked by the launch control team at Wallops. As we mentioned last night, each launch of a Cygnus cargo craft carries with it a tradition for Northrop Grumman, the naming of the spacecraft after a noted space explorer who contributed to human space exploration. The Cygnus being launched tonight is named for NASA astronaut Kalpana Chawla, who twice flew into space, first on the STS-87 mission aboard the Space Shuttle Columbia in 1997, and then on the ill-fated STS-107 mission aboard Columbia in 2003, in which she and her 6 crewmates lost their lives during entry. Kalpana Chawla, the first NASA astronaut of Indian and South Asian descent, being honored on this mission of Cygnus to the International Space Station. The Antares rocket being launched tonight is a 2-stage rocket that will propel the Cygnus cargo craft to its preliminary orbit to begin the chase to reach the International Space Station in the wee hours Monday morning. But before we look ahead, let's look back 24 hours to last night's postponement. And with us this evening by phone to discuss all of these developments, returning tonight with us, is Christina Halona, the Northrop Grumman Antares System Engineering Program Manager. Christina, thanks for joining us once again this evening.
Thank you, Rob. I'm excited to be back with you and our NASA TV viewers to see a successful Antares launch and Cygnus mission to the International Space Station.
Everything's looking great tonight, but before we get into all of that, walk us through last night's scrub. What was the cause? How did Northrop Grumman remedy the issue that brought us to this evening's launch attempt?
No problem, Rob. So last night during the countdown, the computer auto-aborted at approximately T-minus 2 minutes and 49 seconds when it received an off-nominal reading from the ground support equipment. The team tracked the automated abort to a software issue, and it was resolved. Nonetheless, launch scrubs for ground systems issues do sometimes occur as we place mission success and the safety of our team and the public above all other considerations. As can be seen from the numerous scrubs launches have this past week, including Delta 4 and Falcon 9 due to weather and ground system faults. Each and every countdown will not always result in a launch attempt, which is just simply part of the launch business. Our Northrop Grumman team is trained to respond professionally to scrub launch attempts in order to maintain Antares and Cygnus in a safe condition. We always quickly investigate the root cause if there's any issues and maintain readiness to launch as early as the next day. I just want to say what a great teamwork it was by the launch team last night and this morning to quickly respond to the scrub launch attempts and put us back in position to launch again less than 24 hours later. We are a go for tonight, so we're excited.
Christina, this Antares rocket has become a workhorse for Northrop Grumman in contributing to that supply chain for the International Space Station. How robust is this vehicle? How important is tonight's launch as we head into a busy period aboard the International Outpost?
So, Rob, NG-14 was designated as a mission essential mission by NASA during the COVID-19 pandemic, and our team has been focused on being ready on time despite the additional restrictions and mitigations put in place to keep our workforce safe. The Antares launch system and the Virginia Space Launch Pad, we both use are designated to be very robust, which has allowed us to achieve 7 consecutive successful Antares 230 and 230 plus flights that enabled successful Cygnus missions to the ISS. Antares is our 230 plus workforce, and we are carrying Cygnus loaded with nearly 8,000 pounds of cargo tonight. Northrop Grumman is very proud of our contributions in supplying critical research and cargo to the crew on the space station. And for me personally, as a Native American from the Navajo Nation, I am truly honored to be part of our human exploration program, and I hope to inspire others to reach for the stars when setting their goals.
Thank you very much, Christina. Christina Halona of Northrop Grumman with us this evening by phone. The countdown for Cygnus's launch now stands at T-minus 23 minutes, 14 seconds, and counting. At the time of launch at 8:16 and 14 seconds p.m. Central Time, 9:16:14 p.m. Eastern, the International Space Station and its 3 residents will be flying 258 statute miles over the southern Indian Ocean. Antares and Cygnus will arc out passing through 7 minutes until launch.
T-minus 7 minutes. You go to initialize ground ordnance power supplies.
LPL2, ground ordnance power supplies, initialized.
Ground ordnance power supplies, nominal.
LT prop lead, ACSO activation verified.
Copy all their prop lead, ops 2, elect 1, check 395, 396, and 397.
T-minus 6 minutes and counting. Northrop Grumman preparing to provide Friday night lights down the eastern seaboard. Everything is go for launch.
LC site control, AFSA ECS transfer to GN2 confirmed.
Roger that, site control. Check step 398. And launch team be advised, step 399 not required for today's operation.
Coming up on the T-minus 5 minute mark.
T-minus 5 minutes. Ops 1, transfer avionics to internal power. LC Ops 1, avionics internal power on. Stand by for command completion. LC Ops 1, external power off.
Internal power is nominal.
Roger that, Elect 1, Ops 1, open STS umbi loop. LC Ops 1, STS umbi loop open and green.
LC Elect 2, FTLU and FTS receiver indications are nominal.
Copy, Elect 2. Ops 1, you go to send, all arm command. LC Ops 1, all arm command sent.
SNAs, ODMs, all arm.
NASA TD, report range status.
LCTD, range is green.
T-minus 4 minutes and counting. Everything in order. No issues being worked at the Range Control Center at Wallops.
And launch team be advised, phase 3 dynamic limits will be active at T-minus 3 minutes.
FC command into flight mode.
T-minus 3 minutes and counting.
Auto sequence start. ODM bus voltages and currents nominal.
Copy all, Elect 1. GNC 1, verify ready for nav mode.
LC, GNC 1, orb nav ready for nav mode.
Roger that. Ops 2, step 414, switch to nav.
LC Ops 2, orb nav switch to nav.
Copy that, Ops 2, check 414.
LC, GNC 1, orb nav telemetry verified.
Roger that, GNC 1.
Coming up on the T-minus 2 minute mark, and Terry's systems in excellent shape, no issues.
T-minus 2 minutes on my mark. Mark.
.90 seconds until launch.
T-minus 1 minute, 30 seconds. T-minus 1 minute.
Well into the terminal count. T-minus 50 seconds and counting.
T-minus 30 seconds. Mark.
T-minus 15 seconds.
T-minus 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have engine ignition being
Engine start and liftoff. The SS Kalpna Chawla takes flight, sights set on the International Space Station. Pitch and roll programmer in.
Vehicle systems are nominal. Engines at 100%. Attitude nominal. Vehicle subsystems nominal. Engines are steady and nominal. 100%. Altitude 20,000 feet.
1 minute into the flight, everything looking good on Antares.
Passing through max Q. Attitude nominal. Engines at 100.
Antares passing through the area of maximum dynamic pressure.
50,000 feet. Attitude nominal. All vehicle subsystems are nominal.
Coming up on the 2-minute mark into the flight, everything looking good.
Just passing 100,000 feet. Attitude nominal. Vehicle subsystems nominal. Engines remain at 100%. Attitude nominal. Vehicle subsystems nominal.
Good reports from the Range Control Center at Wallops.
30 seconds to throttle down.
Throttle down is the precursor to main engine cutoff for the first stage. Coming up on the 3-minute mark into the flight.
Engines at 55% thrust.
Standing by for main engine cutoff on the first stage.
Main engine cutoff. Stage 1 separation. Attitude nominal.
Stage 1 separation confirmed from the Range Control Center. Antares flying straight and true.
Antares in coast phase until proper conditions for fairing separation and stage 2 ignition are achieved.
Fairing separation confirmed. Cygnus now exposed to the atmosphere as it continues its trek uphill to its preliminary orbit.
Stage 2 ignition.
This will be about a 2-minute 44-second burn of the second stage engine.
Attitude nominal. Attitude nominal. Vehicle subsystems nominal. 140 kilometers.
Coming up on the 5-minute mark into the flight.
All systems continue nominal. Altitude 150 kilometers. All systems nominal.
The second stage burnout scheduled at about the 6-minute 51-second mark into the flight.
Altitude 170 kilometers, roughly 1 minute to stage 2 burnout. Altitude 184 kilometers, all systems nominal, roughly 30 seconds to stage 2 burnout.
Six minutes, 40 seconds into the flight, standing by for stage 2 burnout.
Stage 2 tail-off. Stage 2 burnout.
And Cygnus has reached the preliminary orbital insertion.
Antares will coast for roughly 100 seconds prior to payload separation.
And as you heard, the next major event will be Cygnus's separation from the second stage.
Attitude nominal.
Cygnus has begun its journey to reach the International Space Station early Monday morning.
All vehicle subsystems nominal. Altitude 191 kilometers, roughly 1 minute to payload separation.
Liftoff occurred right on the dime at 8:16 and 14 seconds p.m. Central Time, 9:16:14 p.m. Eastern Time. The International Space Station and its 3 crew members who are asleep at this hour approaching the southwest coast of spacecraft separation confirmed. The SS Kalpana Chawla
Cygnus separation.
spacecraft separation confirmed. The SS Kalpana Chawla well on its way to the International Space Station.
CCAM initiated. Attitude nominal. LC, ace out.
All right, Ace, great job calling it out, and great job to the Northrop Grumman and NASA Wallops and everybody else, Mars, on getting this mission off in difficult times. Okay, launch team, we're going to go ahead and proceed now with our post-launch checklist. And prop lead, I assume 425 is already started. Lead LC countdown 1.
Yeah, we've already began our warm helium.
And prop. And prop lead LC countdown 1.
Yeah, we've already began our warm helium and cold helium purging.
Okay, copy that. We'll check 425 complete. GNC 1 LC, step 426. Let me know when you've provided the Antares state vector to Cygnus.
LC-GNC-1, state vector submission and work.
Okay, copy and work.
LC?
Go ahead, LD.
LC, this is LD. I'd just like to thank the launch team for an outstanding effort. Way to go, team. Thank you, Mars, NASA, and the Antares launch team. Oh, and Cygnus, too. So thanks, everybody. Great job. Carry on, LC.
Thank you, LD.
This is Mission Control Houston. Cygnus now safely in orbit en route to the International Space Station. A perfect launch from the Wallops Flight Facility in Virginia. On the line with us right now is the International Space Station's Deputy Program Manager, Kenny Todd. Kenny, good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, Rob, it's great to be with you. Thanks.
Well, Cygnus now safely en route to the International Space Station after that launch scrub last night. Carrying some 4 tons of supplies and experiments, including a couple of nitrogen tanks. Give us sort of the big picture on what's on board Cygnus, why these nitrogen tanks are important, and some of the other highlights for what this supply run will mean for the international complex.
You bet, Rob. First of all, let me offer my congratulations to the entire Northrop Grumman team. It was a spectacular launch. I don't think you can ever get tired of watching these night launches. And as you said yesterday, creating the artificial dawn for a few minutes there, it's just gorgeous, And the entire launch team there at the Wallops Flight Facility, again, they just do a great job at launching these vehicles. But yeah, we're very excited about having Cygnus off the pad on the way coming to the International Space Station with about 8,000 pounds of cargo, of which over a third of it is really committed to the science and utilization of the space station and really taking advantage of this low Earth orbit asset where we can do some things in microgravity that quite frankly we can't do anywhere else on the planet. So we're always excited to have new people coming to station and really trying to see what kind of things that they can learn in this environment. So you mentioned earlier about the nitrogen tanks. We were a little anxious to get this flight off the ground because of the fact that it had some additional nitrogen on board. As most people who follow station on a regular basis might have heard, we've been dealing with a pesky little atmosphere leak on board the station for the better part of 3 or 4 months now. Station in general always leaks a little bit, but over the last several months we've seen an increase in that, which anytime you're dealing with a leak on a pressurized spacecraft, you certainly want to know where it is, and you certainly want to make sure that you have enough consumables on board to feed that leak until you find it. And that's kind of where we find ourselves right now, as we're working through several different troubleshooting efforts to try to locate this leak. But getting these tanks on board certainly again helps us up our consumables in the nitrogen area and gives us a little more runway as we try to sort through this issue.
Kenny, the Cygnus vehicle arrives at the station pre-dawn on Monday. This kicks off a very busy period for the station and its crew. If you would, give us a little snapshot of the air traffic control pattern over the next few weeks with crews and vehicles coming and going.
You bet, Rob. Last year we were around this same time frame. I remember doing a press conference and calling last year around this same time frame the season of EVAs, because we were getting ready to swap out batteries, and that was coming with a huge series of EVAs along with fixing the alpha magnetic spectrometer and again another large number of EVAs. This year we find ourselves really with just a season of visiting vehicles, and it starts tonight with the launch of this Cygnus spacecraft. We'll get it on board here Monday morning, and then on the 14th of October, we'll see our next Soyuz spacecraft with our next crew coming to the space station. That particular spacecraft will actually perform a 2-orbit rendezvous on its way to the space station, which hasn't been done before with a crewed spacecraft. So we're pretty excited to see how all that works. And again, it'll be pretty amazing when you think about a crew launching from the ground here and roughly 3 hours later being on the International Space Station. So we're excited. That's coming on October the 14th. And then about a week later, on the 21st, Chris Cassidy and his two Russian crewmates will return to Earth after their approximately 6 month stay on board the station. And Kate Rubens, who will then succeed Chris as being the handler of the USOS segment, will have about a little over a week before we see the launch of the next commercial crew vehicle, which would be termed Crew 1, coming to the International Space Station with an additional 4 USOS crew members. And so Kate will be by herself for a short period of time. She's been there before. She understands Space Station very well and was an excellent crew member when she was on board several years ago. And so we're looking forward to getting her back on. But the crew side.
Yeah, I'm so cold like, yeah. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Look how I'm living now. Police be tripping now. Yeah, this is America. Guns in my area. My area. I got the strap. I gotta carry 'em. Yeah, I'ma go into this. Yeah, this is gorilla. Yeah, I'ma go get the bag. Yeah, or I'ma get the pad. Yeah, I'm so cold like, yeah. I'm so dull like, yeah. We gon' blow like, yeah. This is America. Don't catch you slipping.